Alright, 15 July 2026, 9 p.m. Almost done. And still in Indonesia, in my house, my mother's house. So, the title is Lecture Hall 204. Nor was fairly sure she'd found the right building. Fairly sure she'd found the right floor, and reasonably confident about the room number, right up until the professor began the lecture by asking everyone to name their favorite planet. She glanced down at her schedule. Intro to Macroeconomics, room 204. She glanced back up the whiteboard, which currently displayed a rough drawing of Saturn, ring, and to the words intro to astronomy in large, unmistakable letter. She had mistake she had mistaken lecture hall 204 in the science building for lecture hall 204 in the business building, apparently two entirely separate rooms that share an unfortunately identical number. Nor's first instinct was to gather her things quietly and slip out the back before anyone noticed. But the room was already full, every exit seat occupied, and standing up now would mean walking directly past 40 strangers and increasingly enthusiastic, enthusiastic professor already deep into a story about the rings of Saturn. Awkward did not begin to cover it, so she stayed, telling herself that she'd simply leave a first natural break and pull out a notebook. So she so she it at least looked like she belonged here. She belonged there. Saturn's ring, the professor was saying, passing energetically across the front of the room, are made almost entirely of ice. Some places as small as sugar crystal, others other as large as a house. And here's what still astonished me after 20 years of teaching this class. We didn't even know they were made of ice until spacecraft actually flew close enough to check. Nor found herself leaning forward slightly, despite her plan to leave. She hadn't expected to feel genuinely curious about a subject she, she accidentally wandered into by mistake. Sorry, quick question, said a student near the front, raising a hand. How do they even know the size of individual ice particle from that far away? The professor entire face lit up, clearly passionate about the question. For the next 15 minutes, she explained radio wave measurement, spacecraft trajectories, and the surprising amount of detective work required just to understand what rings around a distant planet were actually made of. Nor who had walked in planning to calculate interest rates and market trend found herself taking notes about ice particle instead, completely captivated by something she hadn't known she cared about 20 minutes earlier. By the time the lecture ended, Nor had missed her actual macroeconomics class entirely, and strangely, she didn't feel bad about it at all. You are new. You are new to this class, aren't you? The professor asked afterward, picking up star charts from the front desk. I don't recognize your face. Nor felt her cheeks warm with embarrassed honesty. Actually, I think I walked into the wrong lecture hall. I was supposed to be in room 204 in the business building. The professor laughed, not unkindly. That happens more often than you think. Both buildings insist on keeping the same room number during renovation, and nobody fixed it in 3 years. She studied Noor for a moment. You took a lot of notes for someone in the wrong room. I couldn't really help it, Noor admitted. I did not I did not expect any of this to be so interesting. Most people do not and most people do not until they accidentally stumble into it. The professor said, "You are welcome to keep coming if you do like wrong room or not." Nor should have said no. She had an actual schedule, an actual major already determined, actual plan that did not involve ice particle or planetary rings. But something about the lecture had left her unwilling to simply forget it happened. So the following week, she quietly slipped back into room 204 science building site, notebook ready. She kept going after that, week after week, slowly falling behind in her actual microeconomics class, while catching up eagerly in a subject she never intended to pursue at all. By the end of the semester, Sidhu made a decision that surprised about absolutely everyone who knew her, including herself. She officially changed her major, choosing to enroll in the astronomy program the following year. You do realize, her roommate said, only half joking, that your entire future career is currently based on a scheduling mistake. I know, Nor said, smiling as she pegged her telescope for an upcoming future career. Is currently based on a scheduling mistake for an upcoming observation night. Best mistake I ever made, Nor said. Years later, presenting her own research at small university conference, Nor like to tell new student, the same story whenever nerves got the better of them. Whenever a wrong room or a wrong choice felt like the end of something instead of the beginning. Sidhu glanced at whichever confused, embarrassed freshman was quietly trying to disappear into a lecture hall seat that did not belong to them. And Sidhu smiled in a way only they will fully understand. Wrong rooms, Sidhu tell them afterward, have a funny way of turning into exactly the right tones. Thank you.